You will never get a wilderness or a mountain visitation unless you learn how to get a wilderness visitation. Well, how do you get a wilderness visitation? What was Moses doing? He was tending Jethro's flock. You do whatever you are called to do, and you don't allow seasons to dictate your obedience. You don't allow seasons to dictate your calling. You do what you've been called to do, whether it's raining or whether the sun is shining. You do what you're called to do, and baby, God will show up. The visitation came. Where? In the wilderness. It's close. Here Moses is tending the flock. And all of a sudden the bush becomes consumed with fire. And Moses made a statement, Pastor. He said, I will now turn to see. It's not so important what he turned to. It's really more important to understand what he turned from. It was more important not what he turned to, but what he turned from. Wilderness, the plan of God, but in front of him, the will of God, the inheritance for his life. So during this visitation, I hope you hear what God is saying by his Spirit. In this visitation, and it's what's happening today, and it's what will happen in your life tomorrow. In this conference of visitation, God is saying, turn away from the former season, turn away from the wilderness, and turn towards the will and towards the inheritance and towards the fulfillment. I want you to clap your hands and shout and give him praise. Are you doing okay? Am I ministering to anybody? Turn from the wilderness. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. About turning from, turning to. He turns to the promise, and out of that bush, the voice of God speaks. But Pastor, he did not speak until he saw Moses turn. You are standing. I speak this over your church. And because it's over your church, it's over your individual life because you are connected to the body. If I take my body out in the cold, my fingers and toes are going to get cold because they're attached to my body. So if God is speaking this to Powerhouse, he's speaking it to you corporately. It is your word individually. You are on the verge of stepping in to the fulfillment and to the inheritance. The last year you have been walking in the plan of God, but today God is turning you into walking in his will. Shout hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. But God will never speak, and he will never change your season as long as you're looking at those things which lay behind you. I thank God for the steps along the way. I honor the upbringings that I've experienced in my own life. I could sit here and tell you some stories. Some good ones and some bad ones. I could tell you things that would make you shout, and I could tell you some things that would make you cry. I appreciate every experience, good and bad, that have brought me to the place that I am today.